Welcome to Support Life, a program focusing on current social issues from a life-affirming perspective. I'm Gavin Baulch, and my guest is John Hendriks. John, welcome.
Thank you, Gavin.
And may I say happy birthday.
Yes, happy birthday to the program, not to me personally.
Well, it's happy birthday because gestating away there long before the program started was some processes, something brought you to this point. So tell us a little bit about pre-Support Life. What was your life?
All right. Well, firstly, I'm proud and humbled that Support Life from a few people's thoughts and blessings and ideas came a program. But to take you one step before that, it was interesting because wherever I was going, say a couple of years ago, wherever I was maybe popping in for prayers somewhere, or I was in my travels, or I was at a party or at a function or something, the issue of abortion kept coming up. And I hadn't really turned my mind to that prior. I hadn't really thought about anything to do with the issue of abortion. And I thought, is there a message here? Because, I was popping in to see people and then someone may mention it, and I was popping into my local parish and then I heard something and then I saw a flyer, and I remember going into a church at Dandenong in my travels, and people were praying the rosary for abortion. And I just thought, I wonder if there's a message there that maybe it's time for me to do something. In my past, there has been some experiences in that side of things personally, so maybe it was an opportunity for me to think about doing something to tell people or make people aware about the issue of abortion, and that's really where the concept started a couple of years ago.
So what we're alluding to here, John, is that we all have stories. We have a life, and here it is, a year's gone, and everything that happens to us, there's a purpose and there's redemption in the process. So out of your life's experience, Support Life is this redeeming presence.
Absolutely. Correct. I think that's where it was. I think I had a heart for God, but never really lived my life practicing my faith, I suppose. And a few years ago, I sat down quietly in prayer, and God had said, okay, if you would like to have some opportunity to redeem maybe anything that you've done in the past, why don't you have a look at this matter of abortion and see if there's something that you can tell people about, in the greater wide public or even the politicians. So what I did, Gavin, was I started having some meetings at my home, and a few people came along to hear about what we were going to do, and one of them was David, and he's our producer, so I'm proud and really happy to have had him on board, and Geraldine Lee, who's been on the program a few times, and a few people were involved in our discussions early in the piece, and we just weren't sure what we were going to do, where we were going to go, and David and myself had mentioned that we'd like to get a program up and running, so we approached Channel 31. We did a pilot on it, and we showed them that we were going to discuss social issues that were relating to various issues such as abortion. We've covered a lot of other issues as well apart from that particular topic, and they gave us our first opportunity about a year ago. So we were really happy to get that aired, and so we've worked together now with your help as well. You've stepped in the last 6 or 9 months or so, and you've really supported us. We really appreciate that too, and we really look forward to the next coming 12 months.
Okay, so during the preparation, the planning, the thought, was there any moment at all where you might have aborted the program? Like the idea was there, it's gestating away. What happened?
Yeah, sure. Look, that's a good question. Initially, our first thought was we wanted to do a walk. We wanted to raise some awareness with people in Melbourne, because Melbourne has one of the most liberal laws in relation to late-term abortions. And it's been said on this program many times that Law Reform Act of 2008 came in, and I hadn't been aware of that. And when I'd heard about it, I thought, well, gee, we've got to tell people. And everyone that I was talking to was not aware of it. And they said, would you like to, talk about it in a sort of a more media focused way? And hence the program sort of had the inception. And we sat down together with the producer and a few other people, and we sort of bandied around some ideas. And yeah, look, I can't say that it was never not going to happen, but we were quietly confident that we would get a spot on Channel 31, and we're proud that they gave us the opportunity, and we're really privileged really to have some wonderful people on the program.
Yeah, indeed. And so here it is, its birth, it's a year old. What were the most challenging elements getting it off the ground?
I think the first thing was we needed to think about how we were going to address the issue of abortion, because it's very easy for people to start condemning others that have unfortunately been put into a difficult position between a rock and a hard place where they've maybe had no option but to abort. The first thing we're all about is we're not here to condemn anybody, we're not here to criticise anyone, we're not here to judge anybody about what had happened. So they were our first ideas about that we needed to be, politically correct and comforting and just bring about awareness to the general wide community about, what we're doing here. We're certainly not finger pointing. So that's the last thing we were doing, Gavin, and we wanted to just get some professionals on board, some politicians on board, just some everyday people, some young people, some middle-aged people, some elderly people, people with lots of experience, nurses, doctors, and we've covered a wide range of topics in that time, and I've learnt a lot of stuff about what goes on behind the scenes, but also in the people who have unfortunately had to deal with difficult times through those actions as well. So it's been humbling to learn more about that.
John, for both of us, that's been the experience. You're watching Support Life, and we'll be back after the break. Welcome back to Support Life. I'm Gavin Baulch, and my guest is John Hendriks. John, we've talked about Support Life. It's like an organism rather than an organisation. And out of that grows ideas and activities. We touched on the walk. What are some of the peripheral activities of Support Life that have happened?
Well, when we started, we held a lot of meetings. We met to discuss our topics, and we were writing our game plan and talking about where we were going to head. And from there, I attended quite a number of meetings at the Australian Family Association, Right to Life groups, because I wanted to be connected with people who had spent really their lifelong journey talking about the right to life and the abortion topic. And here I come, Johnny come lately, and I'd only really started a year or so before that. So I needed to learn a little bit more. So we got involved with those groups. We attended quite a lot of seminars and conferences and luncheons, and meeting up with people just one-on-one to talk. And the program sort of became prominent from those discussions, because we wanted those people that had spent all their opportunities and all their time and the hearts that they've touched, we wanted them to come on the program and tell us about what they've done in particular, rather than what we had done, because we'd only been really at it for a short time, but they had been at it. Some of them have been at it for 10 or 20 years. Yeah.
And things like March for the Babies, life dinners. What's the
Yeah, look,
relationship there?
the March for the Baby is an interesting one. Bernie Finn, I think, was either our first or second guest. He is a politician in the western suburbs. He's the Liberal member for the West, and about 4 or 5 years ago he started a walk for life, and he called it the March for the Babies. And he runs it out of his Western office, his small office that he has there, and that's an amazing effort. When he was present in the Parliament in 2008, and him and Peter Kavanagh were one of the two politicians that tried to defend the Law Reform Act going in 2008, and unfortunately there was no one else there, but he tells an interesting story, and we were delighted to have him on the program. He was one of our first guests, I think, back 12 months ago, and he's a high energy man, and he connected up with us, and he was happy to give his time, and we were present. We filmed a couple of the March for the Babies. I think we filmed 2013, and we filmed 14 as well. There's quite a lot of energy that comes out of that, and it's woken Melbourne up out of its sleep. So people are starting to ask, what's the March for the Babies all about? Why are people doing this? And it's not a demonstration or a protest. It's just simply a walk. It's a walk to celebrate life, to make people aware of the abortion laws. And we're not throwing stones, and we're not, shouting at people. We're not, shouting, slants and horrible things at politicians. We're not doing any of that. We're just simply making people aware so that they can make a choice in life. Do they do this way, or do they do that way? Some of the other things that we've been involved with are the Crossroads. Jim Nolan and his boys have walked across Australia. They've walked from Brisbane to Sydney, and sort of Melbourne to Sydney, and various walks, Warrnambool and things like that. And they've raised money and raised awareness, and we've supported them as well. We've had the song, I think it's called the Songs for Life, or where a group of young people would write a song, would write the lyrics and then perform it, and then they had a competition as to who would win. And we've had one or two of the past winners here programmed on the air, and the same with their musical and their songs, and that's tremendous to see young people giving their time and their heart towards something like that. So it's this issue of the right to life is really deep, and people are very, very supportive of it, Kevin.
Yes, very affirming. And then to kind of cap that off, you had a life dinner. Tell us about that.
Yes, the life dinner's been going for a number of years, and about 400 or 500 people attend, and it's here in Melbourne, in Carlton, I think it was. It's been every year in Carlton, and it was a great night, and everyone within the pro-life area was present, politicians, doctors, nurses, just ordinary people, that's just like me. And we went along, and we heard lots of people speaking about what plans are and what the future holds, and yeah, we've been involved with that. We've been sponsoring it and supporting it, and they've been sponsoring and supporting our program as well, sending many people down to come in and speak with us about it, Gavin. So again, we're just blessed that we have all these connections.
Yes. Well, the Life Dinner was a great giver of talent that we've interviewed on the show. There were folks there who came from all walks of life, and their contribution was immense.
We had something like 50 people put their hand up when we asked the question, who would like to come on our program. So that gave us a lot of seed names to basically get people on our program, and we've had all sorts of people, and we've been delighted to maybe at some stage you could tell us about some of the people that you've interviewed over the last 6 or 9 months as well.
Yes.
I see some of the names that you've interviewed of the people, Peter Stevens, and Lynn Anderson, Patrick G, and Daniel Flynn. Some of these people who I perhaps don't know, but you know.
Yes.
Richard Grant, who I know, Anne Lastman, who's been working with victims of abortion, tirelessly for a long time. And people like that who are just quiet achievers, just working away, helping individuals one-on-one, helping them deal with the grief of loss, or maybe a bad decision in their life, or a current decision that they're facing. And there's been many examples of that.
Yes. They're authors in their own right. They've produced books and spoken at many functions just to encourage any young woman who's in a crisis situation to take a deep breath and consider who she is, and to make that decision that as a woman she would make under normal circumstances.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I've had the privilege of meeting these people and also working with them and reading some of their books and newsletters, and it's just amazing how they've got such a tireless, energetic heart for just helping others, and it's just a gift.
It is indeed,
to be able to do that.
Yes.
And I just take my hat off to them and help them in any way that I can.
Good. Okay, well, you're watching Support Life, and we'll be back after the break. Welcome back to Support Life. I'm Gavin Baulch, and my guest is John Hendriks. John, we've covered a lot of ground, but we're coming to the last stretch here, and looking at sort of outcomes and fruit and reactions and comments. What have you picked up since Support Life's been running on Channel 31?
Well, on a personal level, a couple of things. I've had some calls from some old friends that have said, "I saw you on Channel 31. What are you doing there? What's going on?" So that gave me an opportunity to, one, catch up with them, to explain what we're doing, and they can, I guess you could say, they're completely out of the loop.
Mm-hmm.
They were just channel surfing.
Yes.
And they'd never turned their mind, just like I was before. They'd never turned their mind to the issue of right to life or abortion or anything like that. The experiences on the street talk, the street walk and talk. We took the program to the street. That was beautiful. It was great. We had a series of questions. We just picked some people randomly walking past. We interviewed them. About a half a dozen people helped us. I think we had about 10 or 15 interviews that day. It's a beautiful day outside Melbourne Myers, the Myer building. And I can say that the vast majority of the general people support the right to life and support that a child should be born without interference from anyone.
Yes.
And that's beautiful to hear. There was a couple of people that believed it was a woman's choice, but only in extreme circumstances. So the views were good to have, and sort of opened my mind to a few things. The people that we've met along the way, have shared their stories. One lady who's been doing it for 40 years. She's been supporting people and helping them through grief counselling and writing books and attending conferences for 40 years as the majority of her adult life. She started off as a young nurse, and I think she may have even worked in a hospital where they were performing abortions 35, 40 years ago. And after doing it for a little while, she said, I just can't continue doing it anymore after the grief and the hurt and the pain that she saw of what was happening within the hospitals, and it still happens today.
Yes.
So, we have the bright, the lovely side, and we also have the not so lovely side.
Yes.
That's brought up all of those things. But look, on a personal level, I have some plans for 2015 for the program, which mainly involves around funding and trying to get the program on other sort of mediums or other channels or other events and things like that, and give it more airplay so we can get it out there, Gavin.
Yes.
And we're in the hands of the public and the community and Channel 31. So there's been talk that Channel 31 may lose its free-to-air by December 2015. We hope that doesn't happen. It's a great opportunity for people that, on a low-budget programming can express their views about what they're doing and what they're offering for the community.
It's good to have people at grassroots involved in an audience-catching device such as this program. And some of the folks that I've been interviewing over that time, you hear about the total holistic care for women that's being given and offered, and it's being given with actual, truthful, factual information, a broader base for a woman to make a decision, and a broader support base, whatever the choice is that she makes, to be supported and to be encouraged, because we seem to have a plethora of indicators that what a woman brings on herself in that choosing an abortion, post-abortion trauma, and the links to cancer which are out there, and it's like we want the woman to make the best choice, and supporting life is a good starting point.
Oh, look, I really appreciate those comments and appreciate your support. You've worked quite hard with Rebecca and David to get people on the program and talk, and you've supported us as well. So
yes.
we hope to have a big 2015 and
yes.
get more people on board and really push the show maybe to a whole new level.
Yes.
It's all possible to get those stories out there.
It's the joy of just hearing the personal stories, because everyone has a story. And this open channel idea has and gives opportunity for you to share the story with the unknown listener. And what's interesting is the fact that I believe there is a God and He's at work, and people are woken up. I've had some phone calls saying, Gavin, it's all your fault. Someone phoned me up at 12:05 saying, you've got to watch this, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm not doing anything. But others are waking one another up, and there's the channel surfer, etc., and they're being informed about life.
Well, life's very sacred, and whether it's pre-born or after-born, it makes no difference at all. It's the sanctity of life that we're trying to protect,
yes.
And that also includes euthanasia and other things involved with social issues as well, that are very important. And we hope to cover some of those topics and open the program up to everyday people sharing different views and opinions. And look, we've been very fortunate and supported by people and the program and by individuals working here. And look, I'm just proud to be part of it, and blessed and humbled as well, as I said earlier. So what any ideas that any of our viewers have on perhaps improving, they're welcome to write to us or hop on our website and contact us. Our phone numbers are there, email details are there. They can send us a note or tell us maybe we can change our clothing or the way we smile, or anyone or any suggestions they would like to make. We're more than happy to listen and hear for those again, and starting a whole new year.
John, thank you for inviting the general public to participate in where we go forward with Support Life.
Thank you, Gavin.
You've been watching Support Life, and that's all for our program today. Join us again next week. Goodbye.